Welcome to FCP Euro. Here we are in the Motorsport Garage. This is where we house our two Volkswagen GTI TCRs, as well as our C300 Endurance Racer right behind me. Now what's special about this space is this is actually part of our headquarters. So right to the right we have our retail center where enthusiasts come in every day to come pick up the parts they need to repair their European car. And what's even better is right behind us is our distribution center. This is where thousands of packages are picked, packed, and shipped every single day to enthusiasts like you around the world. Now, this year has been a little different for us. Due to COVID, we've stayed safe and we've stayed here and we haven't participated in events. That said, we have tried to participate from afar, either digitally or dipping our toes into e-racing and other things like that. Now, next year, we cannot wait to get back out into events and meet all of you in person. So if you just want to browse parts for your European car, or you want to learn more about our motorsports team, please head over to fcpeuro.com.
Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Yeah, this is it. Go! 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 Yeah, this is it. Go! Let's go! Yeah, this is it. Ready for it. Yeah, this is it. Go! Go! Yeah, this is it. Go! Let's go! This is it. It's now, no
Round 3 of Blancpain GT World Challenge Europe is in the Netherlands, back at ZANDVOORT, the circuit built into the dunes, just back in from the North Sea at its holiday resort. Great to hear from all those drivers, their thoughts ahead of this, the first of the two races. Round 3 of the Blancpain GT World Challenge Europe series. Of course, there's the Blancpain GT World Challenge America and Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia series, and we will combine all those at the end of the season and see who comes out on top. But right now, here's the scene. I'm Bruce Jones, joined by John Watson in the commentary box. We're looking down over the start-finish straight. It's a blustery, not particularly warm day here, as you see, not even 20 degrees air temperature at ZANDVOORT, but it looks like we're all set for great racing because the track conditions seem perfect.
Certainly the track conditions are a little bit different from those we saw for the qualifying sessions, one for this race, one for Sunday's race. The main thing is the wind's got up and it's going to blow directly into the cars.
14 rows, 2 by 2. Once they're all on the straight and narrow, they'll look up the starting grid, nose in front for Vincent Abril, half a car length advantage. We're green and already got a car peeling into the pit lane. Was that not Caldarelli? No, it's not. Caldarelli's running in third. It's a sister car from the FFF racing team, but it's all tidy for the first half dozen, the first 10 runners down to Tarzan. Well done, everybody involved. Aurelian Panis gaining a position or two at the back of the grid. A little bit of contact, you can see a bit of a blur where bodies have rubbed, and down the middle order, as always, is where the action is. But the first three very
across
tidy.
the grass, so the 55 Audi somehow got squeezed on the entry into this whole Hogan-Holtz turn, but Mirko Bortolotti was under threat from Andrea Caldarelli. Managed to consolidate, he's kept his second place, now got to focus, but side by side, up through the sand dunes, contact, and is that a car going to go backwards? There it is, into the barriers, got tagged, 2 cars, just a second of the grass are racing. All of a sudden, what happened normally in turn 1 has happened all up in turn 10.
Yeah, they kept it clean, they kept it tidy. There are shards of bodywork on the track, so for Vincent Abril, he did what he needed to do. Mirko Bortolotti was tidy in behind, and they, well, Bortolotti is deciding he's still going to have a look further around the lap, but strike 2 cars on the record already. We saw Stein Schotthorst being shoveled across the grass between Gerlach Bocht and Hugenholzbots, but the front runners have got it under control. Couldn't tell you, it's Taylor Proto who drove into the pits at the rolling start, but the driver gaining places was the Ricky Collard and the Aston Martin up into 4th place ahead of Lucas Stoltz. That was the main place change at the front. The action was down the middle.
I tell you, Lucas Stoltz very unhappy about the Aston Martin getting ahead. So the question now is that Andrea Caldarelli has got himself into that 3rd position against the, what was now 5th for the Mercedes, which is not good for the safety cars. Yeah, had to be deployed because there's so much rubbish out on the racetrack as you go all the way up towards turn 10. Up through the Rolf Schlottemacher Bock, that's where the engine occurred.
Exactly so, well spotted, John. Just wanted to give you a bit of housekeeping here because Taylor Proto came in to make a pit stop. It was a puncture, so puncture on the formation lap. Very unlucky indeed. The Lexus in the middle of the screen has gained a few positions, so welcome to the championship for Aurelian Panis. But yes, the contact, the cars off the circuit. Markus Winkelhock was the Audi driver who arrived backwards at the scene at the Gerlach Bocht, and clearly he had an assist, as we say.
I mean, they were side by side as they came up through the Rolf Schlottemacher curves, and he got clipped. That spun him around from right all the way across the racetrack, over the gravel, and backwards into the tire barriers. And just before you get into can't even pronounce it. Schivlach.
Yeah, so just to clarify, that was the sweepers. You've gone through the tight corner at Hugenholzbocht, behind the paddock, up over the rise, and at the Schlottemacher Bocht was where the Audi was given a tap, and you're travelling at a fair rate of knots there. Just the approach to Schivlach is where that red and white Audi has ended up, out of the race in the gravel.
I'd like to see a replay just to identify the other car that was involved with the 26.
Well, the 26 was Audi from Santalot Racing, was starting down on the row number 6, pretty much mid-grid.
Yeah, it was summer, but I just catch the car because 2 by 2.
Well, let's take a look at the replay at the start. One of the Lamborghinis would peel off with a puncture. That's not relevant at the front end of the field. That was down towards the front. The first 3 runners very tidy indeed. For a moment it looked as though Andrea Caldarelli would go up the inside of Bortolotti, but Bortolotti stuck to his guns on the outside line, and this is where Ricky Collard goes past the Black Falcon Mercedes into 4th place.
But as I said, if you could hang on the outside and there's space for you to, there the contact. There was one of the, is that the 19?
Yeah, but there was an Audi involved. One of the Attempto racing cars got right under the tail of Markus Winkelhock, spun him round, and then the Lamborghini was actually avoiding, trying very best. And I think by process of that not being Taylor Proto, that would be the other car from the FFF racing team, which would make it Hiroshi Hamaguchi, perhaps.
Yeah, so Christopher Hassa sits back, strokes his chin.
Well, he's got pole for tomorrow's race, but very, very different occasions here. And behind him, Stefan Ortelli looking at the screen as well. And frustrations for some of those involved. No frustrations at all for ACA ASP because they're holding down first position behind the safety car. Incident involving car 17, 26 and 19 under investigation. So going down the order, it was
17,
Tom Gamble.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a Temto racing car, it was one of the grey ones from WRT. That was the one I missed.
So it may have been Tom Gamble and Marcus Winkelhock who got together up through the Rob Schlottemacher curves, and then the Lamborghini just happened to be a passenger. So that is, and in fact, of Grasser Racing, as I thought it was initially.
Yeah, that's the trouble with them running green and black. So Rolf Icon, it wasn't Hiroshi Hamaguchi, so apologies to Hiroshi, but either way, he wasn't seen to be to blame for that. He was at the background of that sequence of events, but the events ended up with Marcus Winkelhock at the back of the pack, stuck in the gravel, out of the race. So no points today for that. One of the 3 Santalot Racing Audis.
And there was the scene of the crime. That's where it all really began to kick off. And once you lose control of the car there's nothing very much you're going to do. And it is an old school circuit. Everything is very close to the side of the racetrack. 24 comes in and leaves.
Double frustration because Winkelhock's in a Santalot Racing Audi, and just see Neil Stevenart sharing with Stefan Ortelli, coming in for a punctured tyre to be replaced. Yeah. And well, he's at the back of the pack now. There's nothing he can do. He can just keep it on the island and see where he can get to from there. But as long as everyone else keeps it clean in front.
And of course, he was behind the scene of the crime. And immediately there was carbon fibre all over the racetrack. And unfortunately, it's almost impossible either to see it or avoid it if you do see it.
Very, very tricky indeed. Tom Gamble, who is one of the drivers under investigation, the number 17th Audi, still going and in 10th place overall, but for the young Brit that could be unfortunate. Still shards of bits and bobs out on the circuit. Drivers need to avoid those. We've already seen Stevenart coming in with a puncture, but the driver who's probably got the most reason to be pleased on that opening lap, Ricky Collard, kept it clean, kept it tidy, and gained a position up from 5th at the start into 4th. And when you pass the car that's leading the overall, is the championship leader in Blancpain GT World Challenge Europe, that's a good job. That's the Black Falcon Mercedes. So frustration for Lucas Stoltz, but a smile for little Ricky Collard.
And that's all to do with being able to understand what you can and cannot get away with in Tarzan. It's a 180-degree corner, I mentioned. It is banked, so either you